So I was born with a facial disfigurement, quite a pronounced facial disfigurement. My face was asymmetrical. My top lip didn't develop properly, so it was gaping open up to my nose and in my mouth. And yeah, it was a pretty pronounced facial disfigurement. And when I was a child, right from birth, right the way through to adulthood, actually, I spent quite a lot of time in hospital having corrective surgery and making my face more symmetrical and, fixing my lip so that so that it came together. And when I was 4 years old, I was gifted an artificial eye that covered my disfigured eye and dark glasses that covered my scarred face. And this is, I call this the beginning of my life behind the mask, that wearing the artificial eye and the dark glasses kind of hid my face. That was the point. It would hide my facial flaws. It would help me to look more normal. It would help me to blend in more, or at least that was the aim, that this mask that I would wear would stop you from seeing what I really look like. I call it the beginning of my life behind the mask, because not that we could have known it back then, but one of the powerful lessons that I learned through that experience was that if something is not right with you, if something is flawed or broken, or if something is just not right, then what you do is you hide it. You put it away. You put it away from other people's eyes. You just make sure that it's not seen. You don't present yourself. You don't present it to anyone. And so I went through my life like that. You know, I went to school with my masks. I went to university, went to college, further education with my mask, and I went into the world of work. With my masks, and I even went into intimate relationships. I had a baby with a man who really had never seen me, and then it was 2009, and this amazing year, I was at a very, very low place. And through a random set of events, I found myself with my hands up in the air, crying out to God, saying, what the heck is going on with my life? I feel so unfulfilled. I feel so stuck. I feel so unexpressed. I don't know what's going on with me. And I had a conversation with God, and these questions came. So, Dion, what's all that covering up about anyway? Why are you hiding yourself? Why don't you let people see the real you? When are you going to show up for real? When are you going to let people see the real you? Of course, in 2009, back then, that conversation, I was talking about my face, and the suggestions were coming that I would uncover my face and let you see what I really look like behind the mask. But you know what? It's been an amazing process, and I've learned a lot about the fact that it's not just people with disfigured faces that wear masks. It's not just people who have facial flaws that feel the need to hide. That as I began to tell my story about my journey of unmasking, other women were saying that beautiful women, smart, savvy women were starting to explain that they knew exactly what it was to be hiding, to be playing small, to be keeping parts of them out of sight, to be suppressing and depressing some aspect or part or trait of their being that they didn't want the world to see. And in my work with women in leadership, this theme started to get louder and louder, that there were aspects of being a woman that we didn't bring to the corporate world, that there was confusion about what it meant to be a woman in the corporate space, and a lot of people were thinking about their womanity, their femininity, their true nature as a woman was something that needed to be hidden, something that needed to be masked, and that we had to bring out this other persona. And my studies got me to understanding that as we were parading around with this other persona, we were getting sicker and sicker behind the mask, more and more tired. In fact, what I really learned from my unmasking journey, and then my journey of listening to other people's stories and helping other women to think about taking their masks off, is that incongruence, when there's one you on the outside and there's another you on the inside, and they don't match up, that incongruence might be normal. That incongruence might be the culture, that's what people do. It might be acceptable, it might be tolerable, but it's also really, really draining. It's also really, really depressing. It's also really, really depleting. It drains our energy. It depletes our capacity to influence and impact. And it depresses our creativity and our innovation. The incongruence sends messages to our heart, to our soul, about who we are, and it confuses us. It creates identity crisis. We don't know who we are anymore, and we're busy trying to be her. We're busy trying to be the woman that she wants and they expect, and we just forget who we really are. But here's the thing. It's time for us to remember who we really are, because our true being isn't pointless. Our true being has something really valuable to bring to the earth. Our true being has something really valuable to bring to our organizations, and something really valuable to bring to our industry. And it's time for us to remember who we are as women and leaders and change makers. And it's time for us to re-own our power as women and reignite our evolution as women in the third sector and the public sector in particular, but in the marketplace generally. That we need to think about who we are and who we're being, and it's time for us to remember how to be our true womanly selves in the workplace. What do you think about that?